Good morning all and welcome to UPSC Made Simple. I hope you are doing good. So we are in the series the news that we can use. Today's The Hindu 14th of July. So first news that is we can use is with respect to gender gap index. So recently World Economic Forum has released a global gender gap index for 2022, right? And India's performance is not very good, right? Ranks 135 India ranks 135 out of 146 countries, right? So it is very poor performance in India, and country is worst performer in one of the parameter. That parameter is health and survival sub index. The health and survival, here India is performing very bad, right? So this is released by World Economic Forum, and it says like it will now take around 132 years to reach gender parity. So India will have gender parity after 132 years, right? So this is the report. So India ranks poorly among neighbors and is behind again Bangladesh, which is having 71, Nepal, then Sri Lanka, Maldives and Bhutan. Only worst performers than India are Iran, Pakistan, Afghanistan, right? So India has not performed very well in this. You can see there are mainly these four parameters. First is economic participation and opportunity, second is educational attainment, third is health and survival, and fourth is political empowerment. In political empowerment we have performed very well, right? So this is the parameter where we have performed very well, right? So in 2021 India was ranked 140 out of 156 in 21 index, right? And four key dimensions we have discussed, and it covers scale 0 to 100 scale, and it will give some rank. So India's score is 0.629, right? And it's seventh highest score in the past 16 years. Since 16 years it is seventh highest. See, this is very poor performance, and again this is good, means earlier that was very poor performance of India. So they have added one more data with respect to labor force participation. So again very useful for GS paper 3. They said it was reduced by 0.9%, sorry, minus 9.5% for male, and currently males labor force participation is around 67%, and they have said like it reduced by minus 3% for female, and now female labor force participation is only 9.4% in December 2021. So remember this labor force participation rate for women, right? So where this news is useful, prelims they can directly ask about this index. Who gives the World Economic Forum, they can directly ask about the parameters. What are the parameters in gender gap index, right? Then they can sometimes give sentence of rank also. From mains perspective it is important for sociology optional, again GS1 society part where you will have women empowerment and all. Then again simultaneously GS paper 3 you will have labor force participation rate. There you can use this particular thing. In essay also you can use this particular data, like for example introduction of particular essay with respect to gender related, you can directly introduce with this kind of things. You can directly start explaining this is one particular part of demographic dividend, and this is having 67% labor force participation. On the counterpart has 9.4% labor force participation rate, and this particular gender gap index India is performing this much, and this is nothing but India's labor force and labor force participation of women as well as male, right? That way you can, like a paradox kind of thing or contrast you can use in introduction of essay. That will instill some kind of element of interest, that will make your introduction very impactful, right? Next, again very important data from mains point of view mostly. They will not ask most of the questions from prelims, but it is mostly important for mains. That is all, like even GS paper 2 we have health, GS paper 3 we have science and tech, we have economy, right? Again you can use the same in ethics. They can ask some related questions there. You can use even in essay, you can use to substantiate your arguments and views. You can use this data, and this data is ILO, International Labour Organization, ILO's data. So it is very authentic data. So what basically highlights of this data is by 2037 the share of Indians aged between 25 to 64, that is productive age group, that will peak. That means it will be highest, and then after 2052 it will start declining, right? This is the main. By 2037 will have highest productive group, that is demographic dividend, and after 2052 it will start declining. Then the shift will be first recorded in southern states, they are saying. So this will start like around 20% of the population in Tamil Nadu and Kerala will be crossing 60 age by 2036 itself. There will be more than 60 age people, 20% by 2036 in Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Right, then India is among the nations with lowest share of elderly receiving pension. This is again very important. And then highest share of out of pocket expenditure in health. What is this out of pocket expenditure? That means if you are spending 100 rupees for your medical bill, out of that 100, how much you need to pay on your own, and how much is spent by government on your health. So here also we are performing very bad, right? Out of pocket expenditure. So first important data is with respect to population share, right? So they are saying actual projections and percentage of the population. So it will be highest around, that is 2036, right? 2037 it will at the peak. So productive population, that is 25 to 64, will be peak for India during this particular period, and then it will start declining. See, this is declining. So 2052 it will start declining. Then dependency ratio, the same we just discussed. So around like 2047, so we will have around 50% of the dependency ratio. That means people who are aged between less than 15 and more than 65 will be around 50% in 2047. So dependency ratio will increase. And then important is pension versus health expenses, we have just discussed. So they are saying, so around 55 rupees out of pocket expenditure of elders. If one elder is spending 100 rupees on his medical expenses, 55 rupees he has to pay on his own, and this is the highest or worst performance of India. And only 25% of the elder people are getting pension. So here also we are not performing very well, and this is data of United Nations International Labour Organization or Our World in Data. This is also important institutes, Our World in Data. You can quote these particular sources for your data, right? Then moving on to the next, we have discussed yesterday itself in High Race Unfolding Mysteries of the Night Sky. So this James Webb telescope, so you can go through this article from prelims perspective. Next, again we have discussed transgender trainee pilot told to reapply for medical test. We discussed yesterday that he was denied the license for commercial pilot, Adam Harry, and now they have asked him to reappear for the medical test. Then again very important keywords that are important. So from mains perspective, firstly for society or sociology optional, then GS paper 2 with respect to justice. Even in ethics and essay you can use it. Assessing juvenility is a delicate task, said the Supreme Court. So 2 judge bench calls for meticulous psychological investigation before arriving at the decision. Usually what happens, if some children commits any particular offense, that is mostly heinous offense, that is heinous offense is more than 7 years punishment, and if he is between 16 to 18 years of age, so whether he will be considered as adult or considered as a children or child, so this is decided by the bench, and bench said it is very difficult to arrive at the decision. So there should be something that he is calling meticulous psychological investigation by the professionals to declare whether this should be considered adult or this particular child. And again one they have added keyword, perfunctory wisdom of juvenile justice board. This is again very important keyword, perfunctory wisdom. We use most of the time this wisdom word in ethics also, so you can use this perfunctory wisdom. These are two keywords, meticulous psychological investigation. So you can use this word somewhere else also, wherever you will have discretion to decide something with respect to behavior of a person and all. So there meticulous psychological investigation is required, right? Then good news from India's perspective, energy sector, that is important for prelims as well as mains, particularly GS paper 3. So energy, we have direct topic mentioned in the syllabus, GS paper 3. So India has achieved clean energy targets 9 years before the deadline. So recently our power minister has told this. So India has installed 162 gigawatt of renewable energy capacity. So India has installed 162 gigawatt of renewable energy capacity, which is 41% of the 402 gigawatt of electricity. So India has 402 gigawatt of installed capacity. Out of that, we have 162 gigawatt from renewable energy, and this has performed very well in this particular aspect. So in Glasgow at United Nations COP21, our Prime Minister has committed to installing 500 gigawatt of renewable energy by 2030, which would be then 50% of the installed capacity. By 2030, we will have 1000 gigawatt of installed capacity. Out of that, we have promised to make 50%, that is 500 gigawatt by renewable energy, right? This is what Prime Minister has committed at the UN COP21, right? Then India has committed 40% of its energy would be from renewable by 23 in NDC, that is nationally determined contributions. So this is again very important from paper 3 mains perspective. Then again there is one keyword, that is cartelization in the fossil fuel industry. You can use this word wherever possible in paper 3 or with respect to fossil fuel, right? Cartelization in the fossil fuel industry. And the last from today's is again important from prelims perspective, like same like COD, it is very important. Again mains PSI are optional, then GS2 IR part, right? This is I2U2 group, so can become a regional feature like COD. So India is one of the most strategically consequential countries. So what is I2U2? I2 stands for India and Israel, and U2 stands for US and UAE. Remember these 4 members. So this is the group, and this idea was articulated by US National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, right? Remember only these important things, that this I2U2 is a 4-member group where I stands for India and Israel and U stands for US and UAE, right? So thank you very much, and again please give some feedback with respect to these videos. Even you don't like, just mention this is not working well for us, so we'll try to do something, right? So thank you.